What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Reddit video here on the Life Stories channel. My name's Dylan, and today we're going to be looking at one of my favourite subreddits, Entitled Parents, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Entitled Parent puts me in a hospital and gets arrested. This story's actually an update story to the story I spoke in the last video on this subreddit. The story involved a young man who has to be tubed because he has anorexia and epilepsy, and his stepmom pulled the tube out of his mouth. Here's what happened next. Important info. I'm a 15-year-old male. I've had two sisters, aged 14 Laura and 16 Liz, and a few entitled step-siblings. I have anorexia, severe anxiety and epilepsy, which I have a seizure alert dog/service dog for, whose name is Chase. Chase is really close to me as I've had him for a few years and he's my best friend. I've been hospitalised for my anorexia and epilepsy, and I get bullied at school a lot. If I don't eat my food, I have to get tubed, a tube through your nose down into your stomach. Caste. EM's entitled mother, ES is entitled sister, and EB is entitled brother. The backstory. My mum died 11 months ago and my dad married less than 1 month ago with a douchebag of a person. My sisters and I hate her and her kids. We have a fairly big house in which entitled mother and her devil children moved in with us this week, so now me and my sister Liz have to share a room. We're okay with it since it was that or share a room with entitled sister or entitled brother. EC know I should be better than this, but the events in the past week have let me fade away anyways, so it's not that important. Last night I was watching the show For All Mankind when I felt the tingling pins and needles feeling that I get when I'm about to have a seizure. Chase noticed this and came over to me. Liz noticed that and got my dad, probably because she knows I'm really weak. When I woke up, I found entitled mother standing next to me, picking up Chase and trying to take him away. I couldn't do anything because I was trying to recover and find out what was happening. I tried yelling at her, but she ran off with Chase barking and trying to bite her. So when I tried to run after her, I remember seeing her run down the stairs, so I go after her. I felt some of the warning signs for a seizure, but I ignored them, trying to get Chase back from the woman. The last thing I remember is losing all feeling, slumped over in a seizure right in the middle of the stairs. That's when Liz and my dad saw me and entitled mother's running off with Chase. When I woke up out of the seizure, I was exhausted and I wasn't able to move one of my legs and my back hurt extremely bad. Apparently, Dad had returned Chase from entitled mother and Liz had called 911. At this point, I blacked out in pain and fear. I woke up when they loaded me into the ambulance. Entitled mother was yelling at the EMTs that I was fine and didn't need to go to the hospital. They did a bunch of x-rays and scans on my leg and back and determined that I had a compression fracture in L2 and L3, lumbar vertebra 2 and 3. Most likely easier because of weakened bones from anorexia, but the fall did it and also fractured my ankle. I have since heard that entitled mother was arrested for attempted murder, assault and theft. Chase has since been returned to me and is sitting next to me in the hospital. He's the only thing keeping me sane. CPS was involved and my sisters and I have been taken from our dad. I've had kyphoplasty and I'm now in an eating disorder inpatient unit. I honestly hate it here. And at this point in inpatient, my doctors recommend that I get a PEG, which I'm really mad about, and hopefully I can get the tube feeding. I feel like my life has crashed. Well, when I read this update story, I was expecting something a bit more positive, but that kinda shocked me. I don't know if taking the kids away from OP's dad was the best choice. He knew that the entitled mother and her kids made OP and OP's sister's life a living hell and did absolutely nothing about it. I hope that OP and her sister end up okay in the end of this story. On the bright side, the entitled mother's in prison now and the kids won't have a bad influence from their mother, which is a silver lining, I suppose. But it comes down to the fact that the dad let her commit the abuse, and it's clearly not the first time. The incident where she tried to rip out the feeding tube should have been enough there. He's just as guilty as she is for allowing it to continue. I'll keep an eye out for an update on this story, and hopefully I'll be able to give you guys some good news as soon as I get it. Entitled parent has no courtesy. This is not the typical outrageous entitled parent story if that's what you're looking for. Today we're going to be getting to know a different kind of entitled parent. So the entitled parent of my story is the worst kind of them all. It's the kind you can't get away from because it's my mother. Today I went over to my grand's apartment for lunch. A thing to note is, in my country, it's common to have maids, but my grandparents, and my family until recently, don't have any. This is important for later into the story. My grandmother is very active in the church, and there was an event today and no one else wanted to go, so I went instead. Before heading to the event, I ordered pizza for the family because no one wanted to cook. The event lasted about 1.5 hours, mostly just waiting around for the priest to show up and chatting with my grandmother's friends. Once it finished, we packed up and headed back to her place. Since we took so long, everyone else ate already and it was just me and her left eating at the table. After we finished, she was the only one cleaning. I tried to help, but she insisted that I didn't. Meanwhile, my mum was sitting at the sofa not moving. Mind you, they left a bit of mess as well. Now this is where the no maids comes into play. For a good 9 months we only had a cleaning lady come on weekends. At first I was the one cleaning the house and the dishes, and we would have the laundry done on the weekends. Soon I got tired of this because mum would leave it a mess. It would come to the point that she would leave plates, cups and utensils in the sink, bedside table, dining table, anywhere she could put them really, all unwashed for days and sometimes weeks. Her laundered clothes would be stacked on chairs at the side of her bed. She would never sweep her room or wipe any of the surfaces. She had dogs that she would just leave and their poop would accumulate in the backyard. Mind you, she would never walk the dogs at all, and one of them is a lab and that was wildly untrained and out of control. She even bit my dog, but that's a story for another time. And these dogs managed to go from fat to fluffy to skinny little things because she would forget to feed them. Basically, she was operating as if we still had people to pick up after her, and whenever I would lecture her about it, she would say, "Those aren't mine," or "I didn't use those," or when she couldn't use that excuse, "Don't worry, I'll get to it." We got in a huge argument because she didn't want to look for new maids, and stated, well, we can just clean the house ourselves. The point was that she couldn't even clean up after herself. I realised that during the time we didn't have maids, she would spend more and more time at my grandmother's house. All those times mum didn't come home when we were maidless, this is what she was doing to her. She was leaving her 65-year-old mum to clean by herself while she relaxed on the sofa watching telly. She basically had a free maid to cook and clean after her. This was probably going on for the longest time and I couldn't fathom how someone else could just leave their mother to do all of the work. It was one thing to be lazy in your own home, but in someone else's? My grandmother afterwards started folding clothes, so I started helping her out. Meanwhile, my mum is still relaxing on the couch. When it got really late, like 12, my sis wanted to leave as she was the one driving. My mum took forever to get up and my sis got so pissed that she left. So what does my mum do? She asked Gran for a glass of tap water when she was literally 5 steps away from the kitchen. After a while I told my mum to hurry up because Sissy was waiting for her and she looked at me like she was taking her sweet time. She then snapped with a, "Yeah, wait, my foot is wet." And when she was done, she was still looking around not caring about how long she was taking. When we finally left the condo 15 minutes later, we went down and had to walk and look for my sister a bit because she moved the car. When we got in, my mum threw my sissy's bag out of the way so that she could sit. My sis's laptop was in the backpack and of course my sis is pissed and says, "What the hell, don't throw my things, my laptop's in there, hand me my laptop now." Mum is huffing and shoves the bag to my sister. My sis hasn't put the car on neutral, so I tell her to give it to me so I can check it while she drives. After I make sure it's okay, my mum asks for the laptop and she shoves it back into my sister's bag. She's still pissed for no reason. I can tell because of the way the laptop thuds when it's tossed into the bag, and I can hear her zipping the bag roughly. She doesn't even apologise and huffs and puffs in the back seat. I proceed to drown her out with rap music. This is the other entitled parent that I think receives little attention and exposure. The kind that believes they don't need to have basic courtesy because we're family, and when you live with someone it's obvious you'll see them at their worst. Her words. It's the kind that chips away at you every single day with the small things they do because they can't empathise enough with anyone but themselves. PS, if the mods don't think this is entitled enough, please delete. Edit, thank you for my first gold. To anyone actually wondering, my mum's dog did bite my dog. My mum didn't bite my dog, but she did make me pay for it. Well, I think by the fact that OP got Reddit gold for his submission, I think it's obvious that the mum is damn well entitled. I saw a great comment in the replies saying that OP should take a week vacation with his sister and grandma and don't tell mum about it to punish her. They should definitely do that, but make it a 2-week vacation instead of 1. Entitled mother gets mad at me for showing off my drone at the park in front of her son. First time poster, long time lurker, I'm on mobile, so excuse any spacing errors in the story. I had walked from my house to the park about a mile away to fly my new drone that I got for my birthday. I wanted to have an open area to fly it since where I live it doesn't have much opening. The park I went to had a big flat field in it, the back surrounded by woods. I set up the connection to fly the drone until a mum and her son came walking past on a trail. Keep in mind that the kid looked about 5 years old. The mum had walked up to me when I was about to make it fly, and then this is what she said. Entitled mother, could you fly your toys somewhere else? It's making my son mad. Me. Oh sorry mum, but I've been here for 10 minutes and with no one around, and if my drone is causing a problem with your son, then may I ask if you mind your own business since no one else was complaining before you showed up. Entitled mother, don't tell me what to do, you were just waiting for me to pass by so you can show off your stupid RC toy to mess with my son. Me, mum, I had no intentions of doing that. Now can you please stop bothering me or I will get someone to handle this. Entitled mother, no, I will not leave unless you give the toy to my son as compensation for showing off. Me, listen lady, this toy is a drone and it costs $200. I will not give it to him just because you think whatever looks like a toy to your son is a new present. Now back off or I'll call the police to handle the problem. She went on her way out of the park, but not before calling me profane names and such. I was able to try out the drone while she was gone and learn some pretty cool tricks with it to practice. I'm letting you know now, if you have something that looks like a toy to a kid walking by, conceal it or walk away. I think that's the classic line of an entitled mum. Don't tell me what to do, proceeds to tell you exactly what to do. Entitled dad and entitled mum tried to get me kicked out of the movies for my seat. EM is entitled mother, ED is entitled mother SC1 is small child 1, SC2 is small child 2, friend is friend and me is me. Sorry for the format, I'm on mobile. So recently Disney released its newest movie Frozen 2 into theatres. Now ever since the original Frozen movie came out, I was in love with Frozen. I loved everything about it, so when Disney released their trailer, I was over the moon. I immediately ordered tickets for me and a friend and patiently waited for the movie to come out. This is the interaction that took place whilst my friend and I were seated in the movie theatre. Me and my friend quietly chatting whilst waiting for the movie to start. Entitled mother, entitled dad, kid 1, kid 2 walk over to us. Entitled dad, excuse me girls, but I believe you're in our seats. The friend gets out our tickets to check. Sure enough, we were in the right seat. Friend, I'm sorry but these are the right seats, maybe you guys are seated in a different row. Entitled mum, no these are the right seats, can I see your tickets? Friend hands over the tickets. Entitled mum looks at them and puts them in her pocket. Entitled mum, how about this, we'll sit here and you guys can move to the seats over there. After all there are 4 of us and my husband and I want our kids to have a pleasant experience whilst we're on vacation. Keep in mind that I bought these tickets for the movie the moment they were being sold, so naturally I'd have a good pick at the seats. I also live in a state that this is a hotspot for tourists, so I've had to deal with several entitled tourists such as these. Ah, entitled tourist, that's a good subreddit idea. Me. Once again, Mum, we're sorry, but these seats are ours. Besides, if I'm correct, there are 2 other people sitting both sides. ED, girls, you're being unreasonable. Where are your parents? Me, they didn't come along. ED, so you 2 are seeing a movie that's clearly out of your age range. Frozen is rated PG-13, my friend is 16 and I'm 15. However, due to our faces, we can appear to be 11 and sometimes 10. Friend, no, we're old enough to see this movie. EM, I don't believe you are. You 2 stay right here, I'm gonna go and get a worker. About 2 minutes pass and soon, entitled mother comes running back with a person who worked at the theatre. Worker, is there a problem? ED, yes, these 2 girls are in our seats and refusing to move. Me, that's not what's happened. Entitled dad, they are also the age of 13 and are here without an adult to accompany them. The worker looks at me and my friend. Do you have your tickets? Entitled mother seems very smug, thinking that we would be removed from the room. However, I bought the tickets on my phone, then chose the seats. On the app where you order the tickets and choose your seats, it allows you to see which seats you got. Me takes phone out and shows the seat numbers. Also, if you don't believe I'm over the age of 13, look at this. I showed him my school app, which when logged into, shows what grade you're in and your birthday. See, I'm 15 and I'm in the 10th grade. Now if you'll excuse me, my friend and I are trying to enjoy the movie, which I bought tickets for a few weeks ago. The worker looked at the entitled mother and entitled dad and asked them for their tickets. When they gave him the tickets, the worker kicked them out. I don't know why, but apparently they'd snuck in using tickets from an earlier showing. They probably got them out of the trash or found them on the floor. I learned this from the worker after the movie. All in all, me and my friend enjoyed the movie and had a great time. Of course, the time wasn't ideal because of the entitled mother and father, but knowing that they didn't see the movie that day brought a smile to my face. Karen thinks her plan will work. OP, I'm 4 parallel universes ahead of you. Well folks, that's it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, leave a like rating down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.